What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum. Lamb here in the host position. Joining me, as always, on Thursday, the notorious A-double-L-E-N, Stirk. What up, baby?
Hey, what's up?
How you feeling about your Falcons, man? As always, just give me 15 seconds on your Falcons.
Complete shambles, hot seat burning. That's it.
That's about it, right? I've bet on them, I think, like the last 2 weeks, too, and it's been an unmitigating disaster.
Yeah, let's we don't talk too much about 1-3 teams. We try to keep it with either teams that are in complete disarray or the contenders.
Yeah.
Not the mediocre snooze fest.
Man, it's unbelievable. One of my worst calls so far has been them. I have them in the
that's right.
NFC title game. I should have.
Sheesh. I barely had them making wild card, and even then I didn't feel too confident. I picked them barely to make it over Dallas, and clearly not the good.
Especially now with the Saints winning those two games against the Seahawks and Dallas without Breeze. I thought that would be their demise. I thought they would be 1-3.
Yeah,
and
look, the new juggernaut, the Tampa Bay Bucks, easily the biggest highlight of the week. Oh my word. Bruce Arians, he's here.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah, he's definitely back, and so is Florida State Jameis. It seems like, right?
Yeah, I still want to see 4 good games before going crazy. But Jameis did look good. He has those moments.
Yeah, he definitely has those moments, and it was unbelievable 55 spot on that Rams defense in LA too, which is the craziest part.
Godwin, just every time I looked up, he was open. If you want to talk about just a stud someone emerging this year, he's someone that's taking that leap. I think he's in his 3rd year, right?
Yeah, he's in his 3rd year, but he was always a guy who the fantasy pros really had a boner for.
Yeah.
Right? Chris Godwin was a guy who anytime Deshaun Jackson was out, or if a guy like
Humphreys
was out, anytime Godwin started, it was like he either scored a touchdown or he had 100 yards.
Yeah.
And
he's always really good in the red zone. I remember he's just a physical receiver, but he's also a vertical threat. He does it all.
Yeah. So we'll get to all the football stuff, but I feel like I haven't properly given the people that listen to the show a introduction of you. One thing, VM at its core was always a show that was about friends kind of sitting back, tossing some beers, having the game on in the background and whatnot. And I know you've been on the show many, many times, and now you're on pretty much every week. But I don't think a lot of people know that we actually know each other for a relatively long time, Yeah,
started, I think, 2012 when the Friday night football games. I remember, shout out to my boy Ralph. Became friends with Ralph. In 2009, Earth Science class helped me pass a lot of exams, let's just say. And then eventually I think I became cool with Eric, and then you, and then just the whole crew all together. So yeah, 2012 late, because I remember I told you I was a Falcons fan. They were about to play the Giants, and I think the Falcons shut them out. I remember the third play of the game, Eli threw a pick to Asante Samuel. And
you're talking about in December, right?
2012. I think that's when we started becoming friends. And then 2013, I started going to Joey's, and then we would start watching football whenever I had a chance to come through. Whenever the Falcons were on at 1 o'clock, I would come through. And since I say 2013, and then World Cup 2014, the infamous USA games, the Ghana in particular, oh my God. So I think since I'd say since 2014, we've been boys. Yeah, but we met in late 2012.
Yeah. No, dude, you know what's crazy, man? So I took the test to be a Nassau County police officer. Mm-hmm. The day I took it was the Falcons playing the Giants in December.
Right.
I think you guys won it was 28-0.
It was a shutout, yeah.
And I remember I had my Giants hoodie on, and it was the year after the Giants won the Super Bowl. And after I finished the exam, we took it at Nassau Coliseum, home of the Islanders. Mike, you're an Islander fan? He's an Islander fan. All right, pray for that kid. Producer Mike in the background. So I'm sprinting to get to my car so I could go watch the game. And it was the second half was about to start. And one of the cops is like, slow down, buddy. You don't want to see that score. I was like, how bad is it? He's like, it's embarrassing. Yeah. And then I pull up my phone and I saw, and it was bedtime. But yeah, man, I feel like I didn't really introduce the audience to you. That USA game was absolutely ridiculous because I remember we're both soccer fans. That was another thing that we hit on. And you're a Mark, too. Well,
yeah,
you were.
I'm a true, that's my second favorite sport. I love the beautiful game. And yeah, when we watched USA, I think we watched a couple other games that summer, but I just remember that one because everyone was there and just the amount of chants and just the after party afterwards. I'll never forget. Shout out to our boy Davino. Literally hopped on a moving car with flip flops on. I thought he was about to break his ankle. He somehow made it happen. But it was just stuff like that. And then eventually, the first time I came on the podcast was like Thanksgiving weekend 2015. And then from there, we started just doing podcasts sporadically.
Yeah. You were one of the first guests that we had on. And also, like, your background, I know you've plugged SB Nation, but, like, how long have you been there, too?
Since January of 2015. Because I've just always been very passionate when it comes to sports media. I remember just growing up watching CBS pregame show or Fox. I've always been more of a Fox guy, maybe because of NFC. But
that's right, yeah.
But I still appreciate CBS. I like Bill Cowher, and when Shannon Sharp was there, he was great. Never really was a big Boomer guy, but I thought all of them they held it down. They served a purpose, and then ESPN, of course, had their own. So I just liked watching pregame shows. So, but then once like 16 years old, starting to read articles, whether it was trying to stay up to date with New York sports or Atlanta Journal-Constitution, given that I like the Falcons, that was another thing. But eventually reading Bill Simmons' book, Bill Simmons is probably like the main reason why I got into writing. So at 19, I started seriously pursuing, wrote on a couple of small websites, and then eventually 2015, between doing podcasts, my boy Aaron in North Carolina, the Foul Fans podcast, then I kind of combined that 2 years experience, had Dave, who was my manager at the Falcoholic SB Nation, and then got the gig around 2 weeks before I think Dan Quinn got the job, because Dan Quinn didn't get hired by the Falcons until after Super Bowl.
Right, because the Seahawks were in the Super Bowl.
Right. We watched, I remember, dude, our boy Davino is one of the worst person to watch football with. He's a Patriots fan. He always thinks it's doom and gloom. How a Patriots fan has the mindset of it, like doom and gloom, just it's baffling. They're the most successful franchise in the world. Like, get out of here. But yeah, that's how I pretty much got into it. I've just been steady on the grind since then, covering as many games as possible, and just covering the beat, whether it's press conferences or transactions. There's always something big going on, because Atlanta, even though they're not known for much controversy, it's just, I don't know, there's always some kind of friction or just some kind of buzz or some players about to hold out. So, and I don't know, I always found Atlanta to be a cool city, maybe just because the rise of it in hip hop, or just the actual like history behind Atlanta.
The dirty.
Yeah, with Dion as well and Vic. So I think it's a cool team to cover, although past few years it's definitely gotten
it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, like 2016, 2017 was the craziest. Now, since it's all about success, like, could you imagine covering a team like Magic before the Browns? But I would say now, when it comes to like dull teams, like I think covering the Titans, I know they just beat the Falcons, but I feel like the Titans is a bad beat. Like there's some teams.
The Bengals gotta suck.
Oh God. No, that really is bad. I know the Dolphins like right now, but the Dolphins, at least there's stories to it. Like, I think shout out to Jenny Varenas, I think her name is, from Sports Illustrated. By the way, shout out to Sports Illustrated. A lot of layoffs going on today. Very unfortunate, but that's the sports media industry. But at least Miami, you could cover, like, it's an interesting time to cover Miami, because like, oh my God, they're tanking, like, how to do it. But there's teams like Cincinnati or even Washington, I think the Redskins are, because there's always negativity there. Like, even though with the Giants you had your success, and Atlanta, they've had their success, but there's some beats. I don't know. I feel bad for the beat writers covering some respective teams.
I don't feel bad for Miami beat writers, because they're also in the 305. So
yeah,
you got that. You're chilling.
Yeah,
you're chilling. But yeah, man, I'm glad that we got to do that. I've been having it on my mind to at least let you talk and tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into the X's and O's and whatnot. But all right, there is one talking point that I do want to address, and it's very important. It's a monumental one. What do you know about this Fair Play to Play Act? NCAA, California versus the NCAA. Are you familiar with it at all? Or
I've seen a couple of headlines, but I've not done a deep dive into it, but it seems encouraging, I guess you could say.
So let me ask you, because first of all, I want to get the idea of how you feel about college athletes getting paid. Are you, like, Tim swears by, they should get paid.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. I'll give you my side first. I don't know how you can pay all these college athletes. For example, you could pay Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for Clemson. You could pay Johnny Manziel, right? What are you paying the goalkeeper of the women's team? What are you paying the lacrosse best player on lacrosse? What are you paying the walk-on on Kentucky basketball? I don't think college kids should get paid. And the reason why is, when they graduate, the majority of them, they have no debt, right? Student loan debt is, I believe, the highest in the country, right? Trillions of dollars in that. Also, you get a lot of perks post playing career, obviously you need to graduate, and I don't know what the graduation rate is in all these schools or whatnot, or for college athletes, but I know for a fact, I know people that have gotten jobs just because they were the wide receiver at Rutgers. And it's like, I wasn't even qualified for this job. But, on my resume, it said 4-year starter at Michigan. And now I'm a bullshit accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting this job because I was a wide receiver for the Wolverines. Where I strongly disagree with the NCAA is exactly what California is doing. Where, dude, if I'm a star quarterback and you're a booster and I'm out with a +1 at a bar or I'm eating dinner and you come over and you're like, hey, man, nice game. Dinner's on me. I don't think I should get in trouble for that.
No.
I don't think if Terrell Pryor, going back to his Ohio State days, ultimately got suspended and kicked off the team because he wanted to get some tattoos. And tattoos, I'm looking to get some tattoos and it costs a lot of money. And the tattoo artist said, yo, sign a couple jerseys for me and let's take a couple photos and I'll do, I think it was an arm sleeve. It's like a $2,000-$3,000 job at the very least. So I don't think they should get in trouble for that. I don't think the kid who, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't think the kid, I believe he went to UCF or USF. He had a YouTube channel. He was a kicker.
That's right. I remember hearing that.
And he got kicked off the team for that. I don't think that's fair. I think if I'm the star of the school and someone wants to pay me or give me money or I can sign some autographs and get a couple extra dollars to spend at the bar, I don't think I should get in trouble.
You shouldn't be punished for being popular or being a star. Like, look at Zion. Like, he was the king. Like, if you could make some good investments or if you're doing things a proper way, like, what's so wrong about signing a bunch of autographs or taking pictures or getting a sponsorship deal somewhere? Like, I don't see any real issue with that. I think it's just unfortunate. And I think it's NCAA in a way just being ultra disciplinarian, but also just bullying these kids. It's just like if they're popular and if they're generating big ratings and crowds, why not? Why can't the star say a Luke May at North Carolina or some star at Kentucky, like if they're the man on campus and they're getting opportunities elsewhere, what's the big deal? It's like, what criminal act is this? Like, I don't understand. Like, oh, they're breaking some sort of code. Like, if there's one thing I'm very passionate about, I thought Tim Tebow's rant was one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. I think he should probably not be on TV anytime soon after that. And I wish Stephen A., the God himself, and Max Kellerman went after him for it, but ultimately they didn't. But I just think with Tebow, his rant, just all this playing for pride. It's like, oh. But eventually, if I'm a star and who knows where my career is going, because, another big debate is like, oh, guys staying out of bowl games.
Right.
Or if they don't make the NCAA tournament, I remember this big man, I think it was on Arkansas, Daniel Gafford might be his name. They make the NCAA and then NIT. He's like, I'm not playing the NIT. I'm going to be a top 15 pick. So you understand, like, just managing your future career and just putting your body on the line, but then we can't use our popularity for benefit. Like, we can't actually possibly profit off it. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, and I'm all for kids. Shit, if I was Christian McCaffrey did it. I believe Leonard Fournette did it also.
Yeah, I can see Leonard Fournette. Like,
yo, if I'm playing in the Meineke Fish Bowl, like, fuck that. If I'm playing for a national championship, I'd be like, yo, dog, like, come on, play for that. That's prestigious. I get that. But if you're playing for one of these, there's so many bowls now. Like, it used to be an honor for a university to go to a bowl game. It used to be like, yo, we went bowling, right? We're going to, a school like a small school like a Maryland to go to a bowl game. It used to be something prestigious in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now there's so many bowl games. It's just another way to make money if you're the NCAA, where even the Final Four is really what it's all about, right? Georgia last year got pummeled by Texas because they didn't make the Final Four. And Texas came into this year as one of the most overhyped, overrated teams coming into the season because everyone saw, they beat the shit out of Georgia. But it was like, what's their motivation going into that, right? Your whole season, you're thinking you can win a national championship. And then on the last day, you lose to Alabama again in heartbreaking fashion, only this time to have Jalen Hurts come in and beat them, as opposed to having Tua coming in the national championship. And it's like, all right, man, what? I'm going to get up for this bowl game.
Yeah.
So I'm all for them sitting out if it's something like that. Look, Jalen Smith just got paid recently. And, man, his career was in jeopardy for a while after the way his career ended in college.
Miles Jack is another player.
Right.
Dropped the second round because of the knee issues. 32 32 teams essentially said we're not taking a first round. Meanwhile, all these mock drafts have him in the top 10 because he was that good of a talent. But then he fell to the second round, and Jacksonville benefited from it. So I just think I don't see anything wrong about just signing autographs or just trying to get some sort of endorsement deals if it's right. Like I think these programs realize, and let's not forget like how much shadiness goes on. Like look what's going on in Arizona with the FBI. Georgia Tech is now, I think, banned. Their college basketball teams banned from tournaments. You know what happened? Louisville, Rick Pitino, just
the brothels.
Yeah,
right?
like come on, like there's so much shadiness going on programs.
Baby.
Yeah, these players can't just sign a bunch of autographs or just do something, get a free meal somewhere. It's just I think it's ridiculous, but. Who knows? The NCAA is such a frustrating thing. It's kind of like FIFA and UEFA. It's like it just there's never ending when it comes to just drama. It's just like, all right, this is going to continue. You just got to deal with this.
Who's more corrupt?
FIFA. Come on, Brazil, Qatar. Even look, Russia ended up working out all right. I think Russia was also a positive experience, but. I think Brazil was pretty negative, and Qatar, who knows what's going to happen there. So, no, I still think FIFA reigns king. But look at NCAA. What did Richard Sherman say? He's like, I hope it brings it down. Like, there's a reason why there's so much negativity directed towards NCAA. So,
yeah, I'm very curious to see and for those of you that might not know, the next World Cup, folks, they've completely taken the enjoyment of getting through the summer with one of the coolest events of the summer. The World Cup in 2022 is literally going to be played in the heart of the football season.
I can't wait for it to be in a bar, 25-degree weather, just sweating in like checkered jersey. Like what?
My favorite summers are when they're major soccer tournaments.
Absolutely, it's the
Euro
best.
Cup, World Cup. It's like, all right, man. What? How am I going to get through the sporting?
We got a whole month.
We have a whole 5 weeks of soccer, right? And then it ends mid-July? Would you say?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, training camp opens up, and you're like, oh shit, the football season's here,
dude. That's what happened last summer, especially since my country made to the final. I'm just like, dude, they're going train camp in 2 weeks. I'm hungover as hell. I'm like, damn, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
The whole 1 month party's over.
So now they're doing that shit in the middle. So
oh, it's awful, and it's so unnecessary.
And what about the ratings too? You think? I mean, shit, you're gonna have to find.
Well,
World
globally,
Cup
it's gonna be all right, but
I know, but
States,
man, it's gonna be hard not to watch Red Zone, to watch
I
Ireland,
think it's
South Korea.
Definitely, it's gonna dip in the United States.
Oh, without a doubt,
it's definitely gonna dip. But I think nationally, or globally, I should say, I think it'll be fine. But once again, I don't know why they have to go that route.
It goes back to the corruption thing with the NCAA as well.
Yeah, just what's the appeal, Qatar? I know Middle East big money. Like Anthony Joshua's fighting Andy Ruiz in believe Saudi Arabia. So they're just trying to use that money in the Middle East at this point. And I don't know. And you're a wrestling fan. Look what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. So.
Oh man, we've discussed it many times on the wrestling show that it's a cash grab. Yeah. And WWE in the past, they've done a lot of things because of money. Mm-hmm. And you know what? A part of me says, I don't know how I would respond to that if I got offered the amount of money that they did.
Yeah.
But then again, they've been pushing the big women's empowerment, women's wrestling.
Right.
And they don't allow any of the women wrestlers over there. No. They just allowed, I believe, Beth Phoenix, who's married to Edge, or it's Renee Young, who she dates Dean Ambrose, but she does commentary now for wrestling, and she was the first on-air weekly personality doing commentary on Monday Night Raw. They didn't allow them to go over there too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Is WWE going to be the culture shock that they're going to get out there? Who knows? That'd be something.
Yeah. They already started World Cup qualifiers in Asia, and female fans aren't allowed in certain countries. They're banned. So it's I don't know, Middle East. Not to go on a rant, but I just don't know what their moral principles are. But.
Yeah, and then with this Qatar stuff is gonna be wacky, man. So if you guys didn't know, I just wanted to run by that. I also want to put myself over a little bit because I talked about this fair pay to play act back in July. I've known about this thing because it's been something that it's gonna be monumental, man. And you know what's gonna happen, dude? Florida is gonna chime in and be like, "Yo, we're losing some of these recruits to California." Right? Because, California doesn't have bum teams out there. It's USC, UCLA. Yeah. Right?
It's taken a hit college basketball-wise. Pac-12 is really, I think it's the worst power conference. But, there's still traditional programs out there. Like UCLA, USC, Cal, Oregon. Oregon. Yes. I'm just thinking of random Pac-12 teams, but now you got to be. But it's... hopefully it makes a big difference, because I just think there needs to take some action, because at this point there's some things that you just hear some stories, you're just like, why is it like this? There's some things that just need to be corrected, like especially with transition to NFL. Like, I don't know, one thing, if you watch, like, what do you make of the challenge rule right now? Because I really don't like it. I think it slows down the game and it gets very redundant, and some challenges aren't really necessary.
Man, I regret being so for this. Like, I was super adamant about, like,
they had to do something, but this isn't the answer.
Well, it's once again, it's the NFL, and I just think us as a culture, we need change to everything that happens, right? And what I mean by that is, Des Bryant, right? The catch rule. Granted, I bet the Packers that game, so I was happy that wasn't a touchdown. The degenerate in me. But Des Bryant, America's team, highlight game of the weekend, right? Packers, Green Bay, 1 versus 2 seeder, or they were a top.
No, I think it was a wild card round.
It was a wild card round? No,
they beat Detroit.
Round. They beat Detroit. Yes, they beat Detroit. So it was a divisional round game. But that Cowboys team was really, really good. That was the last Tony Romo year.
Yeah.
And then people forget that. Romo got hurt the next year. Then they got the top 5 pick. And then that's when Dak and Zeke came in. Yeah. So really, Dak inherited a 12-win team, 13, whatever they won.
That offense line was starting to come together.
Right. Yeah. That was the early stages of how dominant that offensive line was. So you see that call, and people were going ape shit on Twitter. People were losing their minds how bad of a call it was. So what did they do? They made adjustments to the catch rule. Then what happens? The PI no call on the Saints. Ultimately, they come out. You can challenge it. Mm-hmm. It's gotten to a point now where it's like, yo, they're challenging it for everything. And I don't know how you feel about this, but, dude, anytime a pass gets thrown incomplete and there's a collision, don't you just expect a flag?
Do. Like, this day and age.
This day and age, man, a corner makes a hell of a play. It's like, laundry's coming.
Half a second too early. Oh, half a second I can understand, but like even like a fraction of a second, if he's too early, they're gonna call it, or just some sort of little hold. It's I don't know. I still think to this day, like, I don't know how safeties play the game anymore. I know it's hard to be a court, but even safeties, they're put in positions where even when they lower their shoulder, their helmet might make a little bit of a connection, and they get 15 yards. Like, that's another thing that I just think they need to moderate. But it's just, you see at least once or twice a game a challenge on a play where, and I just think the officiating needs to get better. Like, they should. It's just, these guys have 15, 20 years experience. They should have whether the resources or just the knowledge where you can,
or being full time.
Yeah,
these guys aren't full time. I don't know if people know that, but they're not full time. Right. Like, their job isn't just, I'm an NFL ref. It's like, I own a deli. Actually, probably not, but like, I'm a teacher, or someone else is like a banker. Yeah. And it's like part time. They're making like $250,000 a year, but it's like, yo, you bring in close to $10 billion in revenue. You can't hire full time refs.
Yeah. That Eagles Packers game, classic game, but the officiating, I think it was Scantling that got robbed, like down the right sideline. I don't know what.
Oh yeah, and they challenged that PI call too.
Yeah.
So it's just overreacting to what happened in that playoff game.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be a better way that we could do this, because it's slowing down the game, and the game's being slowed down enough between the holding calls and of course, obviously, cornerbacks or just defensive backs in general not being able to use their hands as much. It's just, I don't know. Everyone wants the game to be quicker, and you do see teams running more no huddle, but it's still like it just slows down the pace, and you have to wait 3 minutes, and it's just, given the technology we have these days, it something needs to happen more efficiently.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
All right, before we move on to the NFL portion of this show, I want to run by a couple things to you guys listening. Starting in October, we will have a new free merch reward for being a Patreon member for a long time. Right? We will keep track of how long you've been a Patreon member for. Everyone who's already subscribed will be given a 1-month streak. So all of you that have been Patreon members prior to October, you all start fresh with a 1-month streak. When you hit 6 months, you'll receive a VM hat. When you hit 12 months, you'll receive a VM shirt. These are custom shirts, embroidery. The logo is stitched on, and also we have the logo is stitched on. These are exclusive shirts. And when we get to 24 months, if we keep it that long and everything goes well, we'll figure out something for that. So until October 6th, if you sign up for the Patreon page for the first time, if you are a first-time subscriber, $10 tier or higher, from now until October 6th, you will receive a hat, courtesy of us. Now, for you to be eligible for this streak, it is very important to note that you must be a 6 or 12-month streak in a row without a declined or a canceled payment. So you can't subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe kind of thing. You got to be consistent throughout. We are trying to build something here at VM, trying to get a studio, a couple of cooler mics, maybe hire a couple of video editors and whatnot, get some cameras. So all of your money is being spent tremendously on good things. You know, I got a lot of custom merch made for the show and whatnot. So if you also want merch, DM the show, whether on Twitter or on Instagram. All right, this next segment that we got, man, a lot of backup quarterbacks playing well. A lot of teams still winning with their backup quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that? Just general idea without pointing out anyone. Just how you feel?
I do think it helps that with their supporting cast, and especially some of these teams with a defense, these look at Jacksonville, Carolina, New Orleans, all come off very good defensive performances. I think that helps as well. And we even mentioned Chicago, who has arguably the best defense. So, but one thing you notice these quarterbacks, with the exception of Kyle Allen, he had some bad fumbles, but these quarterbacks are kind of, obviously you expect them to be conservative, but they're not putting themselves in bad situations. Like, I think what Bridgewater is doing right now is brilliant. Like, he knows his limitations, and
his team knows his limitations too, which is a good thing.
Well, working with Sean Payton, it's really hard to be like, people don't understand how good Sean Payton is. Like, the difference between New Orleans, like, I knew I was going to regret picking Dallas when we did last week. You know why? Because coaching couldn't matter more in those games. You saw how much Sean Payton outcoached Jason Garrett / Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore kind of looked over his head. But I think with the right coaching staff and just these quarterbacks kind of know their limitations. I think Chase Daniel as well. You just saw he wasn't really testing him deep. Just went to Tariq Cohen a lot and Allen Robinson underneath. I think once you know your limitations and then just kind of, I think the benefit of play action helps as well. And, you know, kind of going to your main target. Like Michael Thomas still putting up big numbers. That helped a lot. And, you know, with Chase Daniel just managing the game. I just think if you, with the backup quarterbacks especially, whether it's Carolina or New Orleans, Chicago, because I think those are the three teams I was most impressed with. You could trust their coaching staff to put the right game plan. When you have that, and then you have the supporting cast around you, you're going to see wins.
I also think we got to show some love to Gardner Minshew.
But is he a backup anymore? I think even Foles healthy, he's going to be a starter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a take.
Is it I think the whole Nick Foles, what would you call it?
Okay, so
I've never been Nick Foles guy.
Okay, so I don't know entirely what you're trying to say, but I have an idea.
Yeah.
I said on the preview show how I thought Nick Foles was going to quickly realize how good he had it in Philadelphia. And first of all, that team is stacked. Still. Yeah. Stacked then, stacked now. Mm-hmm. Great owner, GM, head coach.
That GM, geez. Howie.
For those of you that actually would have preferred Nick Foles over Carson Wentz, I'm sorry. As I look into I don't know what to tell you.
The guy had 8 good. All right, granted, there were two of the biggest games you could play well in, but he really had 8 quarters of good play.
Yeah,
I covered the Eagles-Falcons game. He was horrendous. Very fortunate. He threw a bomb downfield. It directed off Keanu Neal into the waiting arms of Torrey Smith. If Keanu Neal picks that off, probably this doesn't happen. It was Joe Flacco, Raheem Moore, a little bit of a difference, but you get what I mean. And then we saw in regular season, like those games against Oakland on Monday night.
Monday night game. Brutal. So one of the worst games I've ever seen on TV.
I think it was Christmas too. And then he had a couple other big games. And he's never been that great. Okay, he had that one year with Chip Kelly, but he flopped in L.A. All right, Jeff Fisher, but still.
I'll cut him some slack there. I have to.
But even the regular season, like when he had to start the first few games last year for Wentz,
right?
Like that game against Atlanta, was it good? Tampa Bay, I think he threw like 2 picks. I think that was when Fitzpatrick was doing his thing, but he didn't look good then. I just think Foles, to me, he's always not just been limited, but he's made a lot of bad mistakes. And he's just someone that I don't think you could trust for 16 games. That's why I thought it was laughable that he got that contract. I'm just like, this is just standard Jacksonville. They're just kind of finding what's best out there. Now, granted, look, he was going to get his opportunities somewhere, but was it 4 years, $88 million for injury-prone quarterback that's put together maybe, 19 good games in his career. He's been benched multiple times. It's someone that really struggles, especially under pressure. He's not a good athlete, never been a good athlete, and he's just someone that I don't think you could really trust for a sustainable period of time, and I think Philly recognized that.
Yeah, and
Minshew's making plays. Like, why not ride with him?
no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And the team seems to be behind them. You hear some of the things that guys like Leonard Fournette are saying, that mustache is the secret stuff from Space Jam, and that's like his superpowers and whatnot. And dude, he made a hell of a play on that game-winning touchdown against the Broncos.
Yeah.
You know, and that pass rush seemed to have come alive a little bit. Sucks that Bradley Chubb is out for the year now, torn ACL. Almost 7 years to the day that he tore the same ACL in high school. That's why he ended up going to like a school like NC State, because all the offers were taken off the table. Gardner Minshew, I have a couple of grades here. Shout out to our guy Taryn, stat guy Taryn, sending us some stats and info here. So teams with backup quarterbacks, their offensive grades. So we got Chase Daniel, 1 game, 83.8. We got Gardner Minshew, 76. Kyle Allen, 66.6. Sir Daniel Jones, 63.4. We should throw Daniel Jones in there. Was a backup. Now, you know, he's a starter.
I guess, but I feel like he's the franchise guy. You're preferring him as the franchise guy, then why is he
Oh, of
backup?
course, yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, any chance I get to talk about Daniel Jones, as Mike is over there thinking about how his quarterback has mono.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that quote today from Sam Darnold? He just doesn't want to die. You know, it's not the worst. He just wants to live. Like, I understand.
I
like,
just want to live, man.
Yeah, and going against Philadelphia, if you want to live, don't go against Philly this week. Just take another week off. Although I think they got to play Dallas next. So
yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, 57.6, league low average in depth of target. So again, like you said, they're not making him throw deep downfield because he can't. He's limited,
right?
Which is not a bad thing. I think knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are is a strength also.
Let's also take into account you have a weapon like Alvin Kamara, who I thought Alvin Kamara kind of single-handedly tore apart Seattle in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kamara was just eating him alive. And talk about Seattle with the likes of Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. Just that was really impressive. You look at Alvin Kamara, like how he got into the hands of Sean Payton, just those two together.
3rd round, dog.
Like, how you give an offensive mastermind like Sean Payton so. But I still think Teddy B, like that Dallas game, he could have got rattled, and I thought he handled himself very well. He once again didn't really force too much downfield, and he was just looking for Michael Thomas. So why not look for one of the best route running contested catch receivers in the league? Like people get a lot of criticism of Michael Thomas because he's kind of a possession receiver and he flexes after every first down. But come on, Michael Thomas, if he's not top 5, he's got to be in the conversation.
The Saints are the only one of these teams that PFF's simulations predict them to win the division. Saints are also 3rd in PFF's power ratings. Of all these teams, the lowest rated team are the New York Giants at 27. A common theme with all of these teams, with the exception of the New York Giants, is that they also have some good defenses, right? Defensive rankings for the Bears, 2nd in the league. Panthers, 6th. Saints, 10th. Steelers, we didn't mention Mason Rudolph. You know, 1-3 now. Big game against the Ravens in division. If you could,
I don't think it's going to end well.
Yeah, but think about this. Say the Steelers win that game. Monday Night Football, we got the Browns and the Niners. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a chance that it's a 3-way tie for first place in that division after this weekend.
That's true. But it's just the Bengals are I think Bengals are one of the, if not top 3, like top 5 worst teams in the league. Just I don't know how much to take into account that Monday night game. I didn't think Rudolph looked all that impressive either.
No, he did a lot. You know, I think Connor and Samuels caught 16 passes.
Yeah.
Similar to Teddy Bridgewater.
Ran a lot of jet motion, a lot of jet sweep. So they got creative with Samuel.
Wildcat too. They ran a lot of
Yeah.
wild. I haven't seen that since like 2010, really.
Hey, if you watch the Falcons, Mohamed Sanu has been doing it all the time, man. Sanu cat. Right. But then there was one coverage bust where Deontay Johnson got behind the secondary. So I'm not sure what to make of Pittsburgh because that San Fran game was ugly. And the fact they didn't win that game, 5 turnovers, it's a worrying sign. Their defense is not great. But I do think we should talk a little bit about the Panthers. And I said they have too much talent to fall apart. Now look at them 2-2. I thought beating Houston on the road, stopping offense that much, I think that's 6 sacks. Holding the Texans to what? I think it was 13 points or
10 or 13, something like that.
Offense with that many, with their weapons, I think it's a testament to that defense. And once again, you saw kind of like with I believe Jacksonville riding Fournette. You saw Carolina ride McCaffrey. McCaffrey like 27 carries. He made. By the way, did you see his catch?
Oh yeah.
He tipped it twice. I think it was on a little crosser, and this McCaffrey. He's not a guy. I don't. Even though we know he's a start, he doesn't get enough recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know why, right? He's a
Oh.
white running back.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, Kyle Allen didn't look great. Although you want to talk about another freak play? Did you see when J.J. Watt was coming on the twist and he just ducked it and just chucked it to, I think it was Curtis Samuel downfield? It's just these quarterbacks, especially backups, they're really good athletes, which I think another thing you want to take account. Sir Daniel. Even though I don't even know if he's a backup at this point. But you look at Minshew, who I'm not sure if he's a backup, but Kyle Allen and Bridgewater, very good athletes. Chase Daniel. By the way, there's a stat of Chase Daniel where I think he got paid more money in his career than the amount of passes he's attempted in the regular season.
I know I'm pretty sure he's the highest paid backup in the league. Or Bridgewater just surpassed him when they gave him that contract.
I wonder what Tannehill's contract's like.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, Tannehill too.
I think one of the other talking points about is the whole Chase Daniel Trubisky thing. There's been a lot of discussion about that. What do you make of it?
Listen, man, we've had many conversations, and I just, I had to spend the whole summer listening to certain people, Tim, tell me about Trubisky taking the next leap and whatnot, and I just didn't see it, man. And I really watch quarterbacks a lot because I played quarterback, and just something about that position I've always gravitated to. It's also the most important on the field. I never saw it. I think they're in a better position now to win with Chase Daniel than they are with Trubisky.
Because you don't see Daniel make too many mistakes. And he was going to the Vikings. He knows Zimmer's going to bring those blitzes. And I just thought he managed the game really well. They got back to, I think one of the big things that made Chicago successful is Tariq Cohen was a big part of their offense. I think with a weapon like Cohen, he needs to be one of the two main three options. And I thought they got him.
Cohen last year averaged 11 targets, 9 catches per game with Chase Daniel as the quarterback.
I remember he went off against the Giants.
Yeah.
I know the Giants won that game, but I remember Cohen went off.
Yeah.
I just think him and Al Robinson, those are your two guys. He mixed in a little Taylor Gabriel and Trey Burton, and if Anthony Miller get involved. Like, Chicago has playmakers, but I think Tariq Cohen's just a matchup.
Yeah,
nightmare.
and don't F it up if you're the offense. Like, that defense is absurd. Again, it's, year to year, sometimes you can't bank on the team being the number one defense back-to-back years. Mm-hmm. But, man, that Bears defense is unbelievable.
There's no regression.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah, like, it's just, it amazes me. Just there's no, because we saw Jacksonville last year.
Well, I think with Jacksonville,
was it the turnovers?
No, I think that, yeah, but I also think Jacksonville was just like, man, we got to go out there and try to play defense for a Blake Bortles-led offense, where it goes back to what I said about the Giants, man, how the Giants defense, look, they played Case Keenum and a rookie quarterback last week in relief, and I was laughing on DraftKings when they were like the 4th most expensive defense. I was like, hold on, what am I missing here? And they put up like 20 points on DraftKings, right? I believe the Millie Maker winner had the Giants defense. But with all that being said, the defense is the same as it was in week 1, 2, and 3. But what has changed? You have a different energy about you when you know that your team could pick up some first downs and you're not out there for 38 minutes a game. And that's what I think ultimately was the demise for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, where they knew that every Sunday when they were going out there, no matter who it was, they were going to be at a significant quarterback disadvantage. And the other team knew that, all we had to do is make a couple turnovers and maybe their offense could score points for us, so that's what I think with some of these defenses. And what you're seeing with the Giants, what you saw with, I think, the Jaguars now too, with Gardner Minshew. Defense is playing, and they're doing it without Ramsey too. Ramsey didn't play last week. True. So I want to get to games of the week, but last question on this. Of these teams, right? So the teams we have are the Saints, the Panthers, the Jaguars, the Steelers, and who am I missing?
Giants?
We could leave the Giants
2 and 2
out.
Giants?
Yeah, we could leave the Giants out. So we got Bears, Jaguars, Panthers, Saints, and Steelers.
Yeah.
Which one do you think is the most sustainable going forward with their backup quarterback?
Saints, without a doubt.
All right, if you can't pick the Saints. Because they actually have a starter who...
Yeah.
They have a quarterback that has started and played in a playoff game, should have won a playoff game. So
I guess I'll lean Bears over Panthers just because with the Bears, they have more playmakers defensively. Khalil Mack's game record. Let's not forget, Akeem Hicks didn't even play against the Vikings. Could you imagine if Akeem Hicks was healthy against that Vikings O-line? Kirk Cousins, we're going to try to limit our Kirk Cousins. I feel like that's become a repetitive theme on this podcast, that we just constantly trash Kirk Cousins for obvious reasons. But I just say if Akeem Hicks played in that game, it would have got even uglier. But they have playing like Eddie Jackson, Prince Amukamara playing very well. Roquan Smith, Dan Trevathan, I think is one of the better linebackers. It was like Chicago's defense. It's just scary how good they are, and just there's no regression. So for me, Chicago, between that, and I do like Matt Nagy. I think Matt Nagy, yeah, he gets little criticisms for his clock manager. But I do think he's one of the top play callers in the league. He doesn't get enough credit for how creative he is. There's times where he might get a little too cute, but I do think just Chicago's infrastructure makes me lean a little bit more towards them than Carolina. Carolina, they don't have the same amount of defensive game records, and I'm not that. Never been a big Ron Rivera guy. I think he's solid, but Ron Rivera, North Turner is not the coaching staff that makes me overly confident.
I'm trying to think.
Marcus Peters is just going off right now.
Yeah, we got the Saints. We got the Seahawks and Rams game in the background, but that's not why I'm delaying here. I'm trying to think. So if we can't pick the Saints,
you gotta go Bears, I think, right? Or are you really going with the Panthers?
2-2 in that division. They're one game back. Have they played any division games yet? Oh, they lost to the Bucks.
I think they play the Bucks like next week too.
Right.
The red hot Bucks, man.
Right.
The no more perennial doormat of the NFC South Bucks.
Right. So I don't know. I kind of like, now the question is, what do you do if these quarterbacks come back? You already said Gardner Minshew you would just ride that hot hand, right?
Why not at this point?
Big Ben isn't coming back. Breeze is coming back. And Breeze, I've always said this. When it's a Breeze, Rodgers, Brady, and those guys get hurt, Pat Mahomes, God forbid, knock on wood, because he's my favorite player to watch right now in the league. Like, even though he didn't throw a touchdown last week against the Lions, it was just unbelievable just watching him. And just some of the throws he still makes are just flat out ridiculous. When your quarterback gets hurt, like, remember the Matt Flynn year? Where Matt Flynn won like 5 of 6 games or something. They won in Dallas too. Yeah. And then it's like, all right, well, Rodgers is healthy. He's coming in that Week 17 game against the Bears, winning you're in kind of thing. Man, I remember that throw that he made against Randall.
I have no idea why Chicago blitzed in that situation. Why would you blitz?
Yeah. And then
he ran like a nickel core blitz. I'm like, what are you doing?
And he saw that shit the whole way, just sidestepped.
I think Lovey was still the coach. I'm like, this is why Lovey, you gotta go.
So in that situation, like Matt Flynn was playing so well, and then I believe the next year he went and he got paid. But it was a case where the Packers were like, yeah, man, thank you for keeping the ship afloat, but Rodgers is gonna step in now. Man, Cam hasn't looked good. And if you're Kyle Allen and you continue to ball, and I know he had a rough game last week too, but this could be an out for the Panthers, who have not extended Cam Newton when all these quarterbacks are getting paid. This could be an out from that contract. Now, I'm not saying Kyle Allen's going to be the guy for a decade, but
I think if Cam's healthy, you're starting him without hesitation. It should be a controversy. No, but he posted some like 15-minute video on his YouTube channel explaining that he has to take time off. He's not coming back till he's 100% because he probably should take it. He shouldn't have played in that Rams game. When he was in warm-ups, he was just forcing himself. He did this like I didn't watch the whole video, but the quotes were pretty eye-opening. That third preseason game where he got injured, he just barely hurt his foot, and he just told the coaching staff, "I can't run." That's why he didn't do the QB sneak on 4th down in the Bucs game. Which, if they would have done it, they could have won that game. Like, it's just 1 or 2 plays. Like, the Bucs should be 3-1 right now, but the kicker missed a chip shot. So it's just these little plays could determine if you make the playoffs or not. So I think Cam realizes at this point, if I'm hurting the team, not being able to play up to my full capabilities, then I'm not going to be on the field. So that's why I think it's smart for them to ride out Cam. But if Cam's 100%, just everything he's done in his career and just what he brings to the table as both a passer and a runner, you have to play Cam if he's 100%.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'd have to agree with that one. But I think the answer is the Bears because of how good that defense is. And
with the Bears, it's going to be very hard to blow them out. You always know they're going to be competitive. Like, when you really see the Bears get taken to pieces,
right? Because
they're not going to allow at most 17 points,
right?
And probably because of some special teams or quarterback error. Like,
yeah.
It's just the way they built their defense. All 3 you were talking about all 3 levels of a defense. There's no weakness there. Edge rushers, 3 down linebackers, solid corners. Eddie Jackson's one of the best playmaking safeties. I think Clint Dix has been quietly very good as well. So Chicago, you salute to that front office, even though they'll always be remembered as the team that drafted Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson.
Traded up to get him too.
Yeah. Sorry, Bear fans.